the end of the day, though, if you really look at that PEP cycle, what you're dealing with is a serious problem. You see, it's all about the handoffs. Unfortunately, most project managers don't do a very good job of managing those handoffs. What happens in most cases is project managers attempt to manage all the tasks or activities being done by the project team. It's critical that you realize that all tasks are not created the same. And in fact, one of the problems as project managers we face is the tendency to manage tasks and not what really matters, which are the deliverables. Let me give you an analogy and see if this makes sense to you. If you look at the field of track, the current world record for the 400-meter dash set by Michael Johnson is 43.18 seconds. Now that's one person running one lap completely around the track. The current world record for the 400-meter relay, which is 4 guys, each guy running 100 meters, is 36.84 seconds. Now the difference between those two times, 43.18 and 36.84, which is better than 5 seconds, 6 seconds, almost 7 seconds if you really look at it, is unbelievable. But what accounts for it? Understand that in the modern world of sprinting, 10 seconds equates to almost 100 meters as you move to these longer sprint distances. So all of a sudden, we're talking about a distance difference between those two times, each running 400 meters. If you had one guy racing 4, the 4 guys theoretically would get done, and the one guy would still have 50, 60 meters or more left to go at world record pace. Well, let's extend our analogy a little bit further. The current world record for the 100 meters run one time by Usain Bolt is 9.58. And he is the only person in the history of the world to ever run faster than 9.69 seconds. One person has ever done it. Yet if you multiply the current world record for the 100-meter dash times 4, it equals 38.32 seconds. So the question is, how is multiplying the current world record for the 100 meters, which one person has only done one time, significantly slower than the world record for the 400-meter relay? It should not be possible. Well, the answer is in a couple of things. Number one, it's all in the passing zones. You see, when those 400-meter relay teams are running their race, each runner, after the first runner, is able to get a head start. They can take off and start running before they have the baton, so long as they don't leave an area called the passing zone. And they can only leave that passing zone once they have the baton. So what happens is in the 400-meter dash, the initial runner has to come up out of the blocks, just like that first leg of the 100-meter dash. And it takes them a period of time before they're at their full pace. Well, for all the other relay runners, other than that initial one, they get to start a little early. They get a head start. And so they're at their full pace before the clock starts for them. Suddenly, they're able to run a lot faster, and it makes a huge difference. Unfortunately, when you look at the management of a relay team and managing a project, there's a corollary here. The way most projects are managed or supervised is by coming to the project manager and that project manager then going to the resources and saying, I know you're running at world record pace, but I just need you to do the middle of your leg a little bit faster. It is the same thing as managing tasks. Yet, when they get to the exchange of the baton, they screw that up. In the last Summer Olympic Games, that's exactly what happened to both the U.S. men's and women's 4x100 meter relay teams. You see now at the international level, the relays and track in general have become so individualistic that very little time is really spent practicing the exchanges for relay teams. And sadly, both U.S. relay teams, even though they had 4 of the 10 or 15 fastest people in the world on the relay teams and were expected to medal, both men and women, you see both teams screwed up the exchange on the batons. And on a relay team, there are only a few ways that you lose the relay. Number 1, another team just flat out beats you. Number 2, you come out of your passing zone or your lane without the baton, or out of your lane in general. Or number 3, the baton hits the ground. For the U.S. Olympic teams in Beijing, both relay teams had situations where the baton handoffs were screwed up and the baton hit the ground. They were disqualified. It didn't matter how fast they were running. The deliverable, the baton, is what has to cross the finish line. And that's the way you win that particular race. In project management, it's all about moving the deliverables from one person to the next until we get to the finish line. To truly succeed in project management, you must manage the deliverables and their handoffs from one resource to the next.